Good evening. And my time zone right now is like 10:45. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's get set up. Yeah, I need that. And then we need to go to our folder. I hope everybody day was well. I hope everybody day was well. Today was interesting, guys. Had an interesting day. I'm not gonna lie, had an interesting day. I had an interesting day. While I wait for this computer to load up, forgot to get that, guys. And it's all the way over there, so I might have to get up to get that for us. We need that. Hold on right quick, guys. We are back. Oh, hurt. All right. So, guys, had an interesting day. Had to get the drive. And when should I start? Woke up, went to do a secret job, and then I exercised today. My whole schedule is completely different this week. So that's why we live streaming it, or my time, 10:47 p.m. for all my East Coast people. And I'm pulling up the disclaimer right now before we get started. I exercised today, guys, and then I left. I was telling Al about it. I was really upset. I was really upset. I had dropped my necklace. I dropped my necklace. I did not know where it was. And then jump into it. Disclaimer. The fun part. I always like to say the fun part, right? It's not the fun part. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only. And therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at your institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or represent any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. Now that we got that out the way, okay, that is good. That is good. That is good. We going to the control room, guys. And I will have to make a thumbnail for this too. I'm just talking to y'all about everything. And then we should be set up. Yes, we are set up. Okay, so the first one is the Department of Education. And Department of Education did some posts there, well, at least pertain to higher education. Let's clarify that. It's probably in the more bookmark. So, Department of Education, they said that, well, first, this doesn't really, I don't think this really would change anything, but it's an indicator. It's something to talk about, right? The Supreme Court, 100 years ago, this is posted by Secretary Linda McMahon, my favorite. If you know us and watch us, we talk about Linda a lot. If you listen to Linda and pay attention to the things she's saying, one thing about this administration, they have been doing everything they said they was gonna do. So I follow Linda on X, and yeah, she posts pretty frequent, or her media team, PR team, and then for some reason it might get out before the Department of Education sometimes. But 100 years ago, the Supreme Court, my computer is glitching. You okay? Just making sure. 100 years ago, the Supreme Court made it clear in Pierce v. Society of Sisters. We should look that up. Pierce v. Society of Sisters. Raising children is the responsibility of parents, not the government. 100 years later, the Trump administration remains committed to protecting parental rights. Now, how that relates to higher education? Well, it leads into higher education, I feel like. Simply because it's true. You have to practice how you play. And what I mean is like the way you play sports when you go to practice, right? And when you go to practice and you have the coaches there, you got your teammates there, you got people helping you do this and that, right? Like they're helping you with drills. And when you go to school, it's the same thing. You go with teachers, your peers, but when you leave the classroom, it's up to you to keep reading, building on your strengths of reading, doing math problems, right? Exercising your brain. So pretty much from what it sounds like in that post, what she said was that it's not the government job to raise your kids, which means whatever happens, how I would take it as a person. I don't have any kids, but I feel like people who have kids should speak up in the comment section if you have any kids. The way I'm taking it is we're not responsible if your child is not up to par, up to speed on their reading level. And so that's how I would take it. But in 1925, in the 1925 case, Pierce v. Society of Sisters, the Supreme Court struck down an Oregon law requiring all children to attend public schools, ruling that it violated the liberty of parents. It violated the liberty of parents to direct the upbringing and education of their children. The court emphasized that the state's power, like the state you live in, the state's power to provide, why they do that? It's PPP. The court emphasized that the state's power to provide public education did not include the power to prohibit or suppress private schools. In the background, I want to go to a more credible source to talk about, or a glance at the Pierce v. Society Sisters. Who is on here? I trust. I don't, that's the actual policy. No, .com. I really trust. Let's try this real quick. This is the National Constitution Center. So I try to find my .gov websites or anything close to a government official. We'll come back to this one. I'm gonna keep it up, but we'll come back to it. I got it open still. And so that was one of them about that. But that hurts kids though, because if I knew more about the Pierce v. Society, it's, it's not the parent's job, but when they go to the school, a kid is at a school 8 hours a day. Now, the teacher ratio, I'm not an expert teacher. I have heard teachers complain about the teacher ratio. Like you should have, if you got 24 kids in the classroom, you should have 2 teachers. If you got 12 students, 1 teacher. So that's always interesting to talk about for my K through 12 people. The K through 12 people know a lot more about that. I have, shout out to the K through 12 teachers. And let's see. That's what I'm looking for. Then they actually did another post. Discretionary grants coming from Ed will now be focused on meaningful learning and expanding choice, not divisive ideologies and unproven strategies. So we're going to open that because grants mean a lot in higher education, whether you're using them or not using them. But this is it kind of, I would say it's not old. It was posted May 20th, but they reposted it on X. And then shout out to the people who keep posting though. Well, everybody's on different time zones. They said so. Just a glance. I always like to read the topic sentence because the topic sentence usually gives me everything I need to know from the beginning. I'm gonna zoom out. Today, U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon announced her first three proposed priorities for the U.S. for the United States Department of Education. Discretionary grants. I hope I'm saying that right. Discretionary. Discretionary. I don't got no sound on this monitor, guys, so we can't hear. But I believe it's discretionary grants. Evidence-based literacy, expanding education choice, and returning education to the states. We're going to talk about that later. Education to the states. These will be used in grant competitions across the department to address the urgent needs of our students, families, and states. So we read that already. She says it's critical that we immediately address this year's dismissal reading and math scores by getting back to the basics. Pause. She said it's critical that we immediately address this year's dismissal reading and math scores. It is critical that we immediately address this year's dismissal reading and math scores. I'm gonna keep reading. That sound like they got rid of something. When I hear dismissal, I immediately heard. Well, I'm gonna Google it. Like I said, I Google words. You gotta Google words. Really? Yeah. Okay. So dismissal is more like gloomy, dark. So the dark math scores, math and reading scores. Okay. Just want to make sure. Because I was like, it was missing the S. And getting back to the basics, expanding learning options and making sure decisions and education are made closest to the child. And then let's talk about background. You know, one thing about this career field, guys, it's a lot of reading. And I wish I could just but sometimes you have to really glance because if you say one part of something, it can mean something else when you read the next part. But so far in this is all about DEI, about the supplemental grant priorities. It's about DEI and not basing it on if you had a barrier pretty much or anything. That's pretty much what this is about. I don't really focus in that DEI research area because you have people who actually do studies on DEI and actually research that with back statistics, information. I know statistics and information are similar, but like they bag it up. And so that's not my area strongly, I would say. Not strongly. And then, so the grants. This was interesting though. I feel like this need to be talked about. I did highlight this one. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. I feel like this related to the Department of Education in a form or fashion. So if you don't know who the Scott Bessent is, he's the Scott Bessent is the Treasury Secretary. He's of course when you go through a whole new administration, you get a whole new team. He's the new Treasury Secretary. He's like the guy. I don't know if he is the front, like the main guy negotiating. I would assume so. Treasury, but he's like the main guy negotiating the tariffs and things of that nature. But they said financial literacy is a financial security, and financial security gives you freedom. It's an honor to lead to financial. It's an honor to lead the Financial Literacy Education Commission, also known as FLEC, FLEC, if I said that right. So he's been real advocate about providing financial education to kids or everyone who doesn't have the resources to get financial education. How I feel like that applies to higher education, because if you have financial education, it's really hard for you to go into student loan debt. One of the main things college students don't have is financial education. And when you hear financial education, they think it's about knowing stocks, real estate, when it's really just about budgeting. You don't really need to know X, Y, and Z about finances, because I'm not that type of person myself. You just need to know like how much I need, how much I don't need, and how what is the outline or pace. There's a financial word for it, or what's the plan, like the 5 year plan of like paying this back. My shoulders hurt from the gym, y'all. They hurt, not hurt like but hurt as in like good workout. And so, but he also did say from investing in the stock market to saving for a rainy day. And there are so many tools and tactics available to drive more prosperity. Oh my God, I'm getting my wordplay is off today. But isn't this me on the regular? If I don't say a word that much and I see it, it's not gonna be prosperous though. Yeah, it's prosperous America. Like prosper America, yeah. Prosperous. Oh, is it prosperous? Y'all got me on camera. I probably did say it wrong. Don't do me like that. I think I said it wrong. But yeah, saving for a rainy day, from investing in the stock market to saving for a rainy day. When you in college, it's hard a little bit, I feel like, because you're trying to save for the next semester. But then again, because I believe you should stay off campus with the teachings and methodology, I believe you should stay off campus. So if you stay off campus, you have to save for rent, your renter's insurance that has to be renewed every year. Um, Good thing about renting, you don't got to pay for nothing in the apartment, right? The landlord got to take care of that. But when you saving for school, it's like, because you're going to be working a job. You should be working a job. I don't care if you come from a family with money. It still were kids at my last job. They were working. They without saying it that, they parents, they good on money. So, but they still was working a job to have their own money. And you still have to learn how to balance, like, how much do I have if my school just does something crazy? Knowing like if I stay on campus, like my school cancels on me or turns their back on me on something, do I have enough money to cover myself? So if the school, because somebody can mess up on their job and say, yeah, it was an error on our part, but you're still responsible to pay the bill. So I thought that was interesting. That was by the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. More Harvard things pertaining to the Department of Education, but we know about the Harvard situation. Same old, blocking international students, taking the funding. Not much has changed. So what we at? 19. Let's go to the next one. What's our next topic? Let's go to the next topic. A few seconds, y'all. No, I don't need that. 2 year colleges. That's what we said. I gotta write this down for myself. 2 year. I like to write stuff down. Y'all help me remember. And I said Trump executive order. That's gonna be interesting. 2 year, 2 year colleges, right? Why is everybody talking about 2 year college now? Why is everybody talking about 2 year college? It's 11 o'clock. I feel like a lot of my thoughts and conversation come at night. It's quiet, mellowed out. This is like around the time, since I'm finna graduate, this is around the time I work on schoolwork. And I get upset at night. I do. Because I get so upset at night. Something on the floor. Because 2 year colleges still don't get the respect. But it's so lopsided. Like, one thing from working in the 2 year and working at a 4 year, a 2 year is very slow pace, less students. A university is more students, faster pace. From a work environment, work perspective, excuse me, from a work perspective, what I don't like is that it's like the 2 years have enough employees for the amount of students they have. But the 4 year doesn't have enough employees for the students they have. It's like that's why I kind of don't like the disconnect with 4 years. And so you have a lot more students, but not enough workers, and then you have people doubling up on work they have to do. And so staying focused on the 2 years. 2 year colleges. I remember when I first came in to the college world, and nobody was talking about 2 year. I felt like people seen my post a little bit, and then they started talking about 2 years. Me personally, but that's just how life works. And 2 year colleges would frowned upon, frown, whichever one you want to use. So we're just gonna do a little history about 2 years. Why you should go there, and many more things, right? Because I'll probably be on this for about 20 minutes. Yeah. So, what is a 2 year college? As I said before, and then you can catch this in a clip once we clip it up. But a 2 year college, also known as a community college, junior college, or technical college, provides a shorter, more affordable, this is AI definition. I'll check and see, but provides a shorter, more affordable path to higher education. Short and simple. And often leading to an associate's degree. And if you heard me, because guys, I've been around for 5 years. Nothing has changed, but people just realizing that, yeah, you might want to start at 2 year. And people think 2 year colleges are for, people really think sometimes that 2 year college, I like to say at a point when I was trying to do like media, like posting, I was really struggling. I was like trying to figure out like find my way in this. I was posting celebrities at one point who started at 2 year. And one of them that caught my eye was Tom Hanks. He started at 2 year. He didn't finish, but he started. Apple on my phone. Steve Jobs started at 2 year. And his co-founder partner, Steve Wozniak, Steve Wozniak, I believe it's Wozniak. I probably said it wrong, but it's Steve. Let me see if I can pronounce it. I want to make sure I say his last name right. You never know. You might see these people and they be like, you can't pronounce it. Hold on, founders of Apple. It might not be Steve Wozniak. That'd be crazy. I ain't never know Steve Jobs. No, this can't be Steve. Let's see. Oh, they both are named Steve. I never realized that. They're both named Steve. That's funny. But Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I believe I said that right. Probably messed it up a little bit. Um, but yeah, they started at 2 year colleges. And then, of course, they bridged and went to better institutions because some institutions do have more resources. Like when you go to better schools, they can help you further your growth. And so, back to the 2 year. these institutions offer a range of programs. I always tell students, like, if you plan on being like a nurse, sonography, anything medical, for sure, you should start at a 2 year. I never said that when working. I always said like outside represent myself, because starting at a 2 year, well, for medical, it gets expensive as you go. Medical is expensive. All programs are expensive, but medical is gonna get expensive because you might start off as a, I don't know, just for example, you might start off as a nurse, and then you might say, I want to go to med school now. So then you want to, what I like for you to do, what I want for you to do is to picture this. Med school is not cheap. This is what I love about doing this. And we're going to clip this up. It's called medical school. I never did this. And I'm going to ask, what is the typical, I guess the average price of medical school? I never looked up medical school prices, guys, because for one, it just never applied to me. And two, I was like, it's expensive. I didn't know it's expensive. So according to AI, I want something official. This is a perfect time to find something official. We talking about 2 years, leading to 4 years. And right now we're talking about 2 years, right? Why you should get 2 year degrees. 2 year degrees in the medical field. I like that. 2 year degrees in the medical field. I like that. That's how it be. First off work. I try to hurry up and write that. So, according to, see, that's why I can't wait, guys. We're going to be the face of, like, if you need information on the website, you're going to find us, speakingonbehalf.com. Like, that's going to be us in the future. Watch. That's going to be us. I can't never find things. There's never no set in stone credible place to get this information. So it's in research, but sometimes you might not have the credible. You might not be able to go to your school library and get it, because a lot of my research sometimes does come from my school. That's why I can't share it with you all. And so that what? Oh, guys, I hope it's still live streaming for you all. Oh, I hope it's still live streaming. We still live streaming? We still good? Y'all see me? Okay. Can somebody let me know in the chat? We good? Because this Wi-Fi in this hotel, I think it tried to drop on y'all. But it looked like it's still running. And I see somebody in here, so we should be good still. So right now I'm on bestcolleges.com. And I'm looking up the average med school price. So remember, the main thing is about getting your 2 year degree, because you want to take that 2 year degree money. Like if you're gonna be a nurse, get your associate's degree. Oh, you got a commercial. You want to take your 2 year associate's degree in nursing and put it into, take that money from your 2 years, your 2 year degree of nursing. Take that money from that job, and then save up. Okay, that should be good money. That should be very good money. And just start saving up for med school. Because med school is going to cost you about a house, most likely. I'm assuming. Let's get into it. The average medical school tuition per year, 2023 to 2024, they said the average annual tuition is 34,000, pretty much 35,000. That's crazy. Yearly. So, you know me, I think in years. Now, I don't know how medical school does this. I don't know if they charge you in the summer. I don't know if if you gotta do internships. I don't know all that. But one thing I do know is fall and spring. And they said right here, the average annual. That's all we need to know. So we're gonna do 35 thousand times what? 4. Because from my peers, medical school is 4 years. And then to validate that and check that behind myself, because I'm not knowing this off the top of my head, guys, but I can definitely look this up. No, I'm using that right now when we come back to it. Medical school. How long is medical school? Should be 4 years, I believe. Yeah. Typically, they said typically it lasts 4 years. So 4. So you need, if you looking at like, dang, I'm looking at 35,000 a year, 35,000 times 4. That's 140,000. Now, this doesn't include when you see prices on Google, when you try to hurry up and do a quick Google, like I'm typing, when you try to do a quick Google like search, I want you to go to the US Department of Education, the College Scorecard that we have it in the description. Go to that because there's things you need to factor in. That is tuition alone. That doesn't include staying on campus if you stay on campus. That doesn't include if you stay off campus. Like you have to factor in rent on top of that. That might bump it up to 160. Like you have to pay rent over the next 4 years. Throw that in there. Then you have to throw in, don't really count. I don't count the groceries and stuff because that's like month to month. But really you have to because you might not. I haven't met anybody in medical school personally yet, but I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to work because I think they have you like on hours of like working but going to school. That's why it's like so hard to do med school. And so what I want you to do, that's like in med school if you're already there. But this is what I want you to do. When you're at your 2 year, you have to think real far ahead. That's why it's like you kind of have to be like, you would need like a financial advisor, someone who can put you on this plan of like, look, over the next 5 years leading up to med school, you have to make this a year. It can be a little stressful, but it lets you know, like, depending how you want to work it, right? Because I'm a strong believer in taking your time and going to school. And, like, at the end of the day, it's not like they're going to give you a job for being the youngest. You might see it on social media, but it's not really a thing to be like, oh, you finished first. They can care less what your experience look like. So why not take your time and work? This is how you kind of like, you're making yourself like a business and you negotiating like with life. I like to say like negotiating with life. Like you're like, yeah, I could take 12 credit hours, but I really don't have to. I'm not even a Pell Grant student. I don't need to take 12 credit hours. I can just do 6 and work more and get more money and then do my focus, and do it, take your time. And then when you start feeling like, oh, I could do 12 and still manage my work hours and do it. So then when you do get that associate's degree in nursing, then, because you're like, I know I'm going to med school. When I get my nursing stuff done, I know I'm still going to med school. Cool. So when you get that associate's degree in nursing, you get overtime. I don't know much about the medical field like that. Hopefully we got people that can comment on how it is to be a nurse in the medical field. You can work overtime, take this money, do some contracting, blah blah blah. So many options, right? Because you have the degree in nursing already, associate's degree. Most people go get their bachelor's in nursing, and then it gets tricky with nursing or anything in that medical area because you have to take anatomy. Anatomy is very hard. I don't even want to look up the statistic on the pass rate for anatomy. So you have to take some other medical things like medical terminology. Even before med school, medical students go through it. People in that medical field, they go through it. And that's only if you go to a state like institution type. They say state resident. I don't know why they didn't say like, I guess I see what they did. They said public state resident, so that's the 35,000. If you're a non-resident and you're going to med school, which a lot of people do because they don't get accepted in their state usually, that's 50. $58,000 a year. So 58,000 times 4 is $232,000 for 4 years alone in med school. That is a house. That's a house. And then of course private. So fun fact, I don't know if y'all ever seen an old video of mine, so I'm gonna tell you. Private private school is always gonna cost more. That's just how it is. Private school always costs more. So that is higher than that 232,000. And then if you're a non-resident, yeah, 60,000 a year. Cause 60,000, that extra 2,000 makes a difference. 60,000 a year times 4, 240. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a lot. And then that's only tuition. Now, this is where I was talking about when they said that average total cost of medical school. Yeah, it can ring about, we said 160, non-residents 200 and some thousand. We already calculated it. And they even calculate this stuff for you. So if you're trying to find the plan, they'll calculate it for you. Oh, this is interesting. According to the bestcolleges.com, from 20, this could change, could have changed by now, but I don't think so. This was in September 2024. This is by Liz Welding, like welding. It's edited by a PhD, John Stewart, John Jordan Stewart, Rosema, if I said that correct. And it was fact checked by Marley Rose. And so one reason I struggle with names, because I never know how someone pronounces their name. Like somebody can have, what's a good example? I'm gonna say Henry, but it could be Henry. In another country, it's called Henry. So I always think like that. But the most expensive medical schools, guys, are, this was in they posted this in 2024. So, and it's based on, the data is based on, that's very important. The data is based on, where is it? It just told me. I'm not gonna play with you. I believe it's 2023. Yeah, it's based on 2023 to 2024. University of Washington School. University of Washington School of Medicine, 96,000 annually. Northeast Ohio Medical University, 96,000 annually. University of South Carolina School of Medicine in Greenville. I did not know that. Oh, South Carolina is 91,000 a year. That's right by. Yeah, I'm from Georgia, guys, so that's like right by me. Huh. Wait. Yeah. They call it USC School of Medicine. Why do you do that? That would be so confusing. When I heard USC, I'm already thinking something else, of another school. University of South Carolina School of Medicine, Columbia, 91,000, pretty much 92. You get the gist of it, right? Everything is like a house. So, something to keep in mind when going to, or if you're thinking about med school, law school, it's other career fields. I just know those are like the most expensive off the top of my head. And back to the 2 year, because that led to the 2 year conversation. And 2 year colleges, just get your associate's degree in that career field early. But from my experience, once again, always discuss at the beginning, we said disclaimer, always discuss it with your academic advisor. They might tell you it's best to get your associate's degree in your career field early so you can start working in it early and getting that experience. Because when you get your associate's degree, it's like some career fields don't require nothing but associate's degree, if that. And so discuss with them. And then you should be a general studies major. Like I was a general studies major mixed in with human resources because I wanted to do human resources at the time. And so I was doing both. I was focused on human resources when I graduated. Well, technically, when I finished my major, I was still taking like the general study classes because people at 2 years probably don't know like you can't have a minor at a 2 year like you can at a university, but you still can have a minor at a 2 year. You know, like, nobody can stop you from taking your classes in a specific order like a university. It's all the same. So I was taking my gen ed classes for my bachelor's along with my human resource classes to get my associates. And that qualified me for my associate's degree. It sounded a little confusing. That's why I say just talk to your advisor, show them this, and they'd be like, you know what he talking about? And then I know my shirt a little wrinkled, but just talk to them about that, and then they should know what I'm talking about. They'll be like, oh, I get what he's saying. Yeah, he's talking about if you want to set this pathway up and blah 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 blah. I ain't gonna say pathway. Set this degree pathway up. I'm gonna say degree pathway. And so the difference between a community college and a technical college. Once again, community college is like a smaller scale of a university with the school spirit, sports. Like you heard it a lot if you play sports. Like, oh, he went and played JUCO. That JUCO is pretty much a community college, or it could be a technical school. Technical school focus on the trades, blue collar jobs. In junior college and community college, like the same thing. Um, the one thing they never talk about is the articulation agreement. I'm gonna talk about that so much. 2 year colleges, articulation agreements. 2 year colleges, articulation agreements. Guys, so many students do this that it's not even funny. A lot of students who don't get into their dream school start at a 2 year and bridge to that dream school and they get in. It's actually easier to get into your dream school. So if you want to go to Duke, you should go to the 2 year that has a partnership with Duke. How do you find that out? You go type in on Google. I'm gonna do it right now. And I type in Duke University. I would type in Duke University. And it's gonna pop up right away because it's a very popular school. Sorry, Duke, I'm using it. I'm using you as an example because you're a very popular school. You're gonna go to Duke University, and then you're gonna say Duke University articulation agreements. And then how do you spell that? It's ARTICULATION. Because I'm not the best speller, but I remember this by heart. Duke University articulation agreements. And where this pop up, it shows you the agreements with other universities. Now, I said 2 years. I don't know why they're talking about other universities, and it doesn't even show you the other universities. So let's do this. Let's get more creative. Let's do Duke University articulation agreement with 2 year colleges. Oh, right here with community colleges. Oh, and chat GB, not chat, AI, Google AI just told me Duke University generally does not have a formal guarantee articulation agreement with community colleges for transfer credit. That makes sense because Duke is, guys, that was a bad example, but Duke is a private school, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody just told me that too. Wow. Y'all did not let me, University. Ah, they are private. So once again, it's hard to do that with private schools. Duke is private, so I can't even use Duke as an example. So let's do. We going Georgia. Let's do UGA. UGA University articulation agreement. Sorry for my people out there. I think Duke is in Carolina. Sorry for my people out there in North Carolina. Tried to do some different in a different state. So UGA has articulation agreements, and they have it with. Well, they say you could contact this person and give them a call. We don't want to do that. We want to look on the website. But when you type it in on Google, it takes you to the contact person you could talk to about that and see like what schools. And the person should be like, We would email you a list, or you can email them. You got to know how to email if you're in high school. I didn't know, I wasn't emailing in high school, but it's very helpful if you know how to email these people and ask them the questions you need. I seen that a lot working in higher education. Students who are very young and thriving, they know how to email and ask for opportunities. That's one thing I learned from them. Like, if they don't respond, they don't respond. But just be like, hey, I'm a young 18, 19-year old trying to get an internship. Like, email them directly. If you email the people directly, you just find their directory, they might respond. Worst thing they can say is nothing, right? Or no. And then when you go to UGA transfer articulation agreements, and you can do this with any school, just type in the school name and articulation agreement or pathway agreement, and it's going to show you a list of like agreements. And so that saves you an abundance of money. As I always say, that saves you $10,000 or more. Nobody else was saying that before me. And that's going to save you a lot of money. But you have to know if your 2 year has a partnership with that 4 year. And what a lot of students, what hurt them is they have dream schools they want to go to. What helped me is I didn't have a dream school. My 2 year was my home, and I knew I was gonna have to leave one day. And I knew my 2 year they had articulation agreements with Troy. Um, they had Troy, Valdosta State. Shout out to them. That's where I decided to go. Um, my state school, CSU, is called Columbus State University, and many other schools, right? They had all these other schools, and they had all them other schools, and yeah, and so that was very helpful. I had a pretty much I was going back through my college decision day, signing day, personally, because some schools finna get this money, and they was gonna get it consistent based on my value of myself, how I like to evaluate myself or value myself. So that's pretty much it with community colleges, because we could finish that out just talking about community colleges, but we gotta say that. Save it for next time, right? Say to talk about community colleges next go around. I should take a class this upcoming fall on community colleges, so that's gonna be fun. And now we're gonna talk about Trump, Donald Trump, Trump administration. His statement on it says statement, but Trump executive order to return power over education to the states and local communities. So as I tell people, you have what I learned in undergraduate at my university. You have the local level, which is like my city I'm from is Columbus, Georgia. Then you have the state, the whole state of Georgia, aka the governor, because that person is going to make all the decisions, really, or he's the person speaking on the decisions. There are other people behind doors who really make the decisions, right? Then you got the executive level, which is Trump and them. And Trump and them don't want to deal with this, pretty much. When he says he wants to give it back to the state and local levels, that means like the state can do one thing. Like, literally, this is how it can go. The state can do one thing if he gives the power to the state, but then the local level can do another thing and do what they want. So then it can be like really confusing, because you can say, well, imagine if your city mayor or your local city, right, whoever in charge in your local city, I'm gonna say mayor, could be higher, and they decide we're not listening to the state level or whoever making decisions, and we gonna say, look, your credits here at this college on the local level will not, just making this a complete example, but this how I can go. Your credits at this college in this city won't be accredited because we got this accreditation madness going on, right? And so with all this accreditation madness, it's like, so if the local level doesn't abide by the accreditation, your local level, if they don't, guess what? When you try to transfer to another school outside of your local area And like me, I went to Valdosta. Valdosta might be like, hey, we can't agree with that. We can't agree with what y'all doing. So if that happens, right, then now you're in a way where like now you either stay where you're at or you can't really transfer nowhere else. It can get real like complicated very quickly. And so okay, it sounds complicated trying to explain it. And so we had a comment. Oh, 10 views. That's good. 10 views, guys. What do you think the next 10 years will look like for education? Do you mean education in general, just overall? I'm assuming you're talking about just education overall. I'm gonna run with that. Alice Marie said, what do we think?" When I say we, guys, talking about us. What do we think the next 10 years will look like for education? Um, like I said, I don't want to contradict myself, guys, but the next 10 years, that would be 2020, not 2020, that'd be 2035. The next 10 years of education will be, I think, valuable. It will be more valuable than ever with constant growth. Once again, guys, I listened to that Obama interview and other people talk who are very well spoken and educated. I listen to people talk all the time on Bloomberg Live. I listen to people talk at the World Economic Forum. I follow them on LinkedIn because this plays into my how I feel about education. All of those people have degrees mostly. Like, yeah, the World Economic Forum. Those are like all the world leaders who have like the world like life changing companies. All of these people are educated. All these people have degrees. Yeah, Zuckerberg doesn't have a degree, and I think Bill Gates don't have a degree, but it's like only two of them out of all these other people. And these people are from different countries. As I told a class this. I don't know if I don't know if it's clipped. I can definitely post that for y'all if y'all really want to. This is into the 10 years, right? All of these people are highly educated. These people are from different countries at that. These are not even people from America solely. So if you say, "Oh, I don't need to get a education," period. I don't need to get a like, because most people say you don't need to go to school. Like K through 12, we don't believe in the K through 12 system. Right. If you can teach your kid at home, teach them. But they do need to go to college. Why? Because that person they're going against probably took a basic class on accounting, but you didn't. You don't even know what a balance sheet is, for example, right? All you know is like, oh, how the numbers look. And then your accounting, like, numbers look great. And they don't look great. Like, how do you know on the basic level if your accountant knows how to do a balance sheet? And so I like to tell you're competing not only with people in this country, you're competing with people in different countries who want to take your company, who wants to take like wherever you're doing with company wise, money wise, or education wise. Like people are competing who has the most credible like work in a specific area of study. So I like to tell people like education in the next 10 years with AI, lack of like communication skills really with the growing with social media rapidly growing, man, education is gonna be so valuable in the future. It's gonna be very valuable than ever, if you ask me. Um, like I said, the college president makes how much? Millions of dollars, right? They make $1 million for a reason. So next 10 years, you think their pay gonna go down or up? It's probably gonna go up. So I think that's a great question, but I think it's gonna be valuable as far as like being the best education out there in America in the next 10 years. I would say you have to make sure you're teaching your kid the proper education. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. I wouldn't trust nobody else to care about your education. Just like you wouldn't trust nobody else to care about your finances, don't trust nobody else to educate your kid, right? Because these are the same people who are going to send their kid to Harvard and make sure their kid get into Harvard and make sure your kid go to a state college. That's the difference. And there's nothing wrong with going to a state college, community college. I went to community college. I went to state college. But for some reason, people love prestige more than anything. Like, there's a lot of people who go to Ivy Leagues, but they don't run the best five for the best. They do not run the best five. They do not run the best 500 Fortune companies. That's what I'm trying to say. So people who go to Ivy Leagues don't run the best top 500 Fortune companies. Top 500. Why I can't say this right? Top 500 companies. Fortune 500. That's why I'm saying it backwards. Students who go to Ivy League don't run the best Fortune 500 companies in America, at least in America. Like, they work for them, but they don't run them. It's only us, like, to really run a Fortune 500 company, guys, which is like the best 500 companies in America. And then you got the top 100 companies in America. They don't go to prestige schools like people who run these companies or do this. They be people who started off in their, like, Dave's Hot Chicken, who like talk about food, right? Dave's Hot Chicken just sold their company and they just started in a parking garage, they said, or something, serving hot chicken in the driveway of their house. So the guy didn't even go to college. One of the guys didn't even go to college. He was just a marketing genius, one of them, who co-founded it with him. And then Subway bought it for $1 billion. And so it plays into education. Why? Because, once again, they didn't rely on the education from the government. Like the government said, you shouldn't rely on teachers, I guess, pretty much. Like Linda literally said that you shouldn't rely on teachers or the government. You as a parent should be doing what you need to do at home. Literally, I just quoted her. So, good question, Alice Marie. And do we have another comment in there before I keep going? We are at 12 views. Shout out to everybody who dropped in and viewed over the course. 1, 2, 1, 2. I appreciate that. And they tell me if it's the same person or not. So it's not the same people. So if you dropped in, good job. Dave's is overrated. I haven't had Dave's Hot Chicken yet, actually. So we should make that happen and get some Dave's Hot Chicken because I haven't tried it yet. But once again, real quick, y'all, before we go, we got to talk about this real quick because I have to go to bed. I have to go to work in the morning for something I will tell you one day. I had to discuss with people if I should tell y'all soon. Trump's executive order to return power over education. Why I keep saying that? Trump's executive order to return power over education to the states and local communities. So, Secretary of Education Linda McMahon released the following statement. This was on March 20th. I don't know why it's a headline. It was in March. This was in March. But let's read it or go through it real quick. It's very short. It's a press release, so it's not that long. Linda McMahon released the following statement following Trump's executive order to return education to the states. Once again, this might not happen because you will have to. He can still transfer power over to the states while the Department of Education is open. They can rig up let me not say rig. They can set up a executive order to make that happen. And so it says this executive order is making history, action by President, blah, blah, blah. I'm just looking at some things. They said instead of filtering resources through layers of federal red tape, we will empower states to take charge and advocate for and implement what is best for students, families, and educators in their communities. Closing the department does not mean cutting off funds from those who depend on them. Let's listen. Let me say that one more time real quick. Closing the department does not mean cutting off funds from those who depend on them. We will continue to support K-12 students with special needs, college student borrowers, and others who rely on the central programs. That's key right there. I did not know that. So they know they're not going to, it seems like they know they're not going to cut it off. Like, the Department of Education will be open. Now, okay, I get that a little bit. It's going to be open, but it's going to be not open. It's only going to be, are they trying to use it only for, well, like they said, for grants, special needs, student borrowers, but you don't want them to police the schools, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to put something together with this. Because if you give it back to the states already go crazy on higher education. I can't speak for the education part, but higher education, they go crazy. What kind of education does Linda even have? Let's see. What kind of education does Linda McMahon have? WWE. Linda McMahon. Education. I'm so tired, y'all. But this is what it takes, right? They say she went to East Carolina University. And I'm gonna go to the Department of Education because you have to put that on there. It literally is like a whole. So if you go to the U.S. Department of Education, guys, please go to the U.S. Department of Education. You can find some stuff that might help you while you in college or before you get to college. Please go there. Um, Linda, she's the 13th United States Secretary of Education. Okay. We're not worried about that. Okay. Born in North Carolina, Secretary McMahon graduated from East Carolina University in 1969 with a bachelor's degree in French. Bachelor's degree in French. Her college aspirations to become a school teacher reflect her lifelong interest in education. Her college aspirations to become a school teacher reflect her lifelong interest in education. I think she had aspirations to become a school teacher, but never did. I think her lifelong interest in education, which she later pursued through educational administration advocacy. She served on the Connecticut State Board of Education. Guys, the board is so powerful, guys. It's so powerful to get on them boards. We got to get on them boards. We have to get on them boards. Like, she was on the board. She served on the Connecticut State Board of Education. Did not even know that. Advocating for policies to empower teachers and help students excel, and on the board of trustees at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. So we got another comment. Alice Marie, you're going crazy in here. Doesn't sound qualified to me. Trash. Okay. Alice Marie, you're going crazy. You're going crazy right now. And so that's a little bit about her. Back to Trump as we end. Where is it? They said we're going to follow law and eliminate the bureaucracy. We're going to eliminate the bureaucracy. I had to sound it out, guys. Responsibility. Oh, not responsibility. The bureaucracy responsibly by working through Congress to ensure a lawful and orderly transition. With today's action, we take a significant step to give parents and states control over their children's education. That's going to be interesting, though. So pretty much, this is the old one. I thought it was a new one, but it still was good to read. We found some stuff out. It's going to be open, but they're not going to be completely closed, but they're going to be open. So throw my hands up on that one. I know just as much as you. I try to not even try. I be watching what they post. Higher education, once again, is just one of them career fields, guys. They don't really, they don't, they're not with it. Like it's very like, we'll get to it when we get to it. But my thing is, when we gonna see a tuition freeze? When we gonna see prices go down on tuition? But one thing I tell you, prices never go down. They never go down. They only go up. So I feel like a tuition freeze is perfect for higher education. Like a good 5 year pause, at least, to where jobs and wages match that. Because jobs and wages have been like tuition outpace jobs and wages. That's why people like are working full-time jobs to pay for school. Oh, we gotta actually. They said Trump proposes cutting Pell Grants in order to avert shortfall. This by the Inside Higher Ed. The administration's proposed budget also defunds TRIO. So we can do that hopefully tomorrow if we have time, guys. We could talk about that tomorrow about the same time. We're going to be on the nighttime schedule. It seemed like we had a lot of people who are up at night. Y'all ain't finna have me up at 12 at night talking to y'all. But I'm just playing. But a lot of people did pop in from what I'm looking. So that lets me know a lot of y'all either doing schoolwork or bored at night or scrolling on that phone when y'all could be listening to this. So that's making me think a little bit. But where is it? Yeah, but where'd it go? Did it update? I saved it. But the trio is probably gonna get defunded by the trio has a potential chance of getting defunded with the new One Big Beautiful Bill Act, because when they said Pell Grant cuts, the only thing that's cutting Pell Grants is the One Big Beautiful Bill. So, and we're gonna look at a school real quick, and then we out. I like to close out looking at schools. I usually do presidents, but I don't think y'all want to hear all them numbers right now about what presidents make in college. All them presidents making hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. We'll probably do that tomorrow. But I wanna look up a school. Any recommendations on the college anybody wants to look up and break down real quick? It's like a 3-step process how we break this school down, guys. And then we'll be on our way. No, nobody want to comment on the college they want to look at or have us review before we leave. We're going to use the College Scorecard that I have in my description from the U.S. Department of Education. So the school I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to tell ChatGPT. Got to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I'm going to say, provide me a random college to look up, because I don't want to, I don't want to be biased. What's FSU? You know how many FSUs there are? We got one from Alice Marie. Which FSU, Alice Marie? Florida State. Okay, Florida State University, perfect. All right, we can do that. Florida. So y'all know the rapper Florida is Florida. How many people knew that? Like Flo Rida, put it together as Florida. I remember I learned it like after high school. I was like, oh, didn't know that. That was pretty smart. Some of y'all probably don't know who Flo Rida is. Probably showing my age. Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. So let's zoom out real quick. So if you want to go to Florida State University, Their graduation rate is 82%. That's pretty good. The midpoint for 4-year colleges is 58%. So they're way above. You have a higher chance than normal, of graduating from this college. The average annual cost, let's make sure, excuse me, the average annual cost is $10,000, pretty much $11,000. They said the midpoint for 4-year colleges, according to the Department of Education scorecard, they said the midpoint is 20,000 pretty much. So you're saving about $9,000 if you go to this school. And then they said you could earn potentially the median earnings. What's the median annual earnings? Is when an individual received federal student aid and began college at the, like, what is that? No, we don't want that one. We don't want that version of it. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. But I am gonna look this. I am gonna look into this though. It's gonna take me to another page. Yeah. So I'll do some research on that. That's a different median earning. Mm-hmm. And so what else? The costs. That's my favorite part. So they have it broken down by family income, how much your average cost can be. That's confusing. So what I would do, guys, I would have the scorecard up here, and I would go to the actual institution website because you just got to know how to calculate it yourself. Like a lot of times you can scare yourself if you don't know what you're looking at and what you're doing, which is understandable. So if you go to Florida State University, and what I do to save me time when I'm researching a school, that's why I'm doing this with you all at the end. You're going to say Florida State University, tuition. You're going to just say tuition. That's all you're going to say, tuition. And then don't go off the Google. Do not go off based on Google. You're going to be so confused. Go to the actual school website and do tuition and fees because that's the actual price. And then what it does, it shows you their main campus price. Like right now, I'm looking at their main campus price. When we get better equipment, like better screening, I can show you what I'm looking at. Their main campus undergraduate price is 200 for in-state is $215.55. So once again, 215 and 55 cents. So what I usually do, if you're going to be a full-time student, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, right? That's going to be times 12, right? Usually you taking 3 credit hours, 3 per credit hour. And then it might be 4 if you got a lab, if you're medical, but usually it's 3. So you're going to do 215 and 55 cents times 12, right? And then what's that? You're just gonna put in the calculator, 215.55 times 12. You're looking at 25.86. And what I would say, you're looking at 25.87 once you round it. You're looking at 25.87 for your fall semester with tuition alone. That does not include room and board, meal plans. That's not bad price for the school. Undergraduate, main campus. Now you stay off campus, even better. You looking at 25.87. And then you just do, remember you gotta factor in fall and spring. So in this case, don't confuse yourself. Fall and spring, you just add another 25.87 or you can times 2. I'm gonna keep it simple this time. I'm gonna just add that same thing again. I'm a safety person sometimes. 25.87 plus 25.87. Then you just do 51.74. And that's how much you're looking at for 2 semesters at Florida State. And I'm going strictly off their website. The scorecard was giving me a little confusion, because they were like, oh, based on your family income, they factoring in the financial aid and all that. I'm not a financial aid specialist. When I get my financial aid guy, he can break this down and let me know. Then I can learn from that, right? But right now, I'm gonna go do it my way and how I calculate it. And then if I do got some financial aid that's gonna take care of it, great. I'm looking at a cheaper price. So, and then if you don't understand the scorecard yourself, like me, I don't fully understand it. I understand certain parts of it. Go to a financial advisor in the school, save this and bookmark it, and take it to them and say, hey, can you break this down for me? And then they can break it down for you. And then a graduation retention rate. We talked about that a little bit. Our phone is about to die. Yeah, we good. We got a few more. And then y'all still see me. And then make sure nobody said anything. Did anybody say anything? Ooh, 16 views, y'all. We got people dropping in. That's good. That's why I stayed on longer with y'all. And so we talked about that a little bit. They did say though, after you graduate, they said 22% of students receive student loans. They said typically after college, students bag in $18,000 in student loan debt. This is on the scorecard, Department of Education, public record. And so you looking at typically paying back $191 a month. Now imagine if you got to pay a car note, car insurance, that, what else? Rent. I don't need no bills. The goal is to get it. The goal is to strive for a debt-free degree. Minimize as much as loans as you can. And so this is what we were looking for. Yeah, I want to look that up because they confuse me the way they wording this. They say 77% of students, they're averaging more. They say you're going to see, when I see median, I believe that's what it is, but I don't want to confuse you guys. Because they're talking about the median earnings, and I feel like they're talking about what somebody is going to make when they leave the institution. But they're confusing it, talking about 10 years after entering the school. Oh, yeah. But they got financial aid in here, though, who receive federal financial aid at 10 years after entering the school. So I guess they're saying, off my general knowledge real quick, financial aid students who enter the school after 10 years are making $61,000 a year on average at Florida State, supposedly. But or 62 if you round it. So that's what it's coming off as. But once again, I'll make sure to understand. I believe that's what it is, but just to make sure, I'll go talk to somebody. But I believe that's what they're talking about. What else? This is really, then they talk about the diversity of the school. So if you are a person that cares about diversity in the school, their school has their student body. They have 13% Asian demographic, 13% Asian demographic full-time staff, 4% student body, 7% black, 5% full-time staff, 23% student body is Hispanic at Florida State University, but 6% of the full-time staff, 6% is Hispanic, and so on and so on and so on, right? And so, and it says the white is 58%. White is 58%. This is on the U.S. Department of Education. For the U.S. Department of Education to not care about or want to get rid of DEI and stuff, I'm surprised they got this on here. This is the race and ethnicity section. White is 58% student body, and full-time staff is 63%. So if you go to this school, it's looking like you have to, if you want to factor in, because it is better when you have somebody who looks like you teaching from experience. So keep that in mind. But Oh, test scores and acceptance. It's a lot on here, man. It's a lot of information. They have a 25% acceptance rate. You have a 25% chance of getting into this school. That is crazy. I would do the articulation agreement. I would bridge into this school. Easy. 25% chance of getting in. That's hard. But that's it. That's Florida State University, guys. I would try my best to clip that up and make it shorter, but that took about, we were researching. That took about 10 minutes to do, but hopefully less than 10 minutes, but we'll clip that up. And then we are out. I appreciate everybody stopping by. See y'all tomorrow. We're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. We're going to try to make that happen. We're going to try to make that happen.